Hi, this video will answer for you one of life's biggest questions. What's for real? What's correct? Do we reincarnate after we die? Or are we judged and sent to heaven or hell after one lifetime? We're going to answer that. My name is Brent Phillips. I am the founder and creator of the Awakening Dynamic System of Energy Healing and Higher Consciousness. This video is number 6 in our series on answers to life's biggest questions, where we're going to tackle head on and show you the best answer we humans can possibly find. Are we reincarnating spirits? Or are we a soul that gets one shot at life and then we go to heaven or hell? I'm going to lay it out for you. Now, if this is the first video in the series you've looked at, feel free to just keep watching. But if you're wondering if it's bothering you, hey, who are you, Brent, to think you can answer this? Why should I believe you? How could you possibly know this? If you have any concerns like that, check video number 1 in the series. I'm going to answer those questions. I'm going to explain how to think about this, why I think this is true, what to do with it. So check that out if that bothers you at all. Otherwise, please continue, and we're going to answer this and perhaps blow your mind in the process. So how do we answer this? Who's right? First, I want to explore a little bit the two theories. We have essentially what I call the Western theory, dominating by the Abrahamic religions, namely Christianity, Judaism, Islam. And they all have a similar idea that humans have a divine spark we might call the soul that came straight from God, and that we live one lifetime, and then after we die, we go up to heaven and we're judged, maybe by St. Peter, maybe by someone else, depending on the particular theology and culture and time and place. And essentially, you get one shot at life and it is graded pass-fail. Kind of like your freshman year at MIT. Pass-fail. If you pass, you go to heaven and enjoy an eternity of pleasure and ecstasy and wonderful things. If you fail, you go to hell, where God will torture you for eternity and you have no chance of ever escaping. Wow, kind of harsh, right? So that's the Western thought. Then we have the Eastern thought, which, again, I know I'm talking in broad strokes here. Of course, not every Eastern religion philosophy perfectly fits what we're going to say. But I wanted to just have 2 viewpoints rather than 100. Because if I wanted to get into the precision and the details, I'd be here talking for like 70 hours, right? Don't want that. We want like closer to 7 to 10 minutes, right? That's what you guys want. So we got the West, where you get one life and you're judged pass, fail, heaven or hell. And we got the East, where they generally think that you, the essence of you, is some kind of reincarnating spirit. That after you die, you're judged, but instead of being sent to your eternal destination of heaven or hell, you're either given an upgrade or a downgrade depending on how you did. So if you were really good in your life, you get an upgrade. You become a higher life form. Maybe you were born a poor working person in this life, and you were really good, so next life you get to be born a prince and live a life of luxury and wealth. That's the basic thinking. And now I want to look at what are the strong and weak aspects of the 2 theories. Well, first I'm going to call out the Western approach and call out the big obvious flaw, which is it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's completely unfair and arbitrary that you only get one chance. And not only that, the chances are hardly equal and fair. Some of us are born with horrific disabilities, to poor families in war-torn regions in the middle of a natural disaster. Other people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth and never want for anything their entire life, are given everything they want, just because of who they were born to, just because of who your parents are. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but that's our reality. So then we would be judged after we die, and that you have to meet a certain arbitrary criteria, because if you don't, this loving God is going to punish you eternally with the most horrific tortures. And that's bad enough on the surface, but eternity people with no chance of atonement or correction ever. I don't know about you. To me, that does not sound like a loving God. Have your own opinion. But that seems way too arbitrary, way too capricious, way too unfair. And besides, does it make any sense to you that if you just pass the test, if you just make it above the line to go to heaven, you get an eternity of pleasure? And the person that just made one little mistake more than you, they ended up on the bubble, as they say in sports or poker, right? You're the highest ranking person that got cut, they didn't make it. They went to hell. What was the difference? Probably something minor. It's hard for me to accept that especially within religion, most religions will say that every one of other religions ends up in some kind of hell. It's like, really? I can't imagine that even if we look at the most popular religion, Christianity, as I record this, about 25% of the world's population is Christian, 2 billion or so. If the Christians were right, that means that 75% of the world is going to go to hell and didn't have a choice. No real chance at redemption. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? So I think there's such obvious flaws with the Western one life model. We can't say there's nothing good about it, but we can say clearly this on its own is not the answer. So let's look at the Eastern viewpoint. What are some of the upsides and downsides to the Eastern viewpoint? Well, one of the upsides is that we get more than one chance. That makes a lot more sense to me. It doesn't seem that a loving God would give you one arbitrary test, and if you did badly, punish you for eternity with the most horrible pain imaginable. That seems pretty excessive, right? The reincarnating idea of, okay, I was a human and I was awful, and I enslaved people and stole and murdered and raped and did all these awful things. So, okay, now I get demoted, now I'm a snail. And I got to work my way back up. Not too different than, say, you're in the military. Winston Churchill, this really happened. During World War I, he started the war as First Lord of the Admiralty. In other words, he was the head of the worldwide British Navy. He was the #1 commander of the biggest and most powerful navy the world had ever seen. And he didn't do so well. After the Battle of Gallipoli, Churchill was fired. And he went and enlisted in the army as a private. He went and enlisted in the army. And when they figured out it was Winston Churchill, he became an officer. But he went into the army and was willing to go out on the front lines and work his way up again. So that's kind of the idea. And makes more sense. So there's that. But more importantly, I think the most critical thing to look at is the evidence. That if we look at the traditions of reincarnation, there is overwhelming evidence to support it. And don't take my word for it, go look at it for yourself. Make your own decisions. As an example, if we look at the way they choose the Dalai Lama, the way they do it is something like this, that the previous Dalai Lamas set aside secret little notes and facts about their life, things that only they would know. And then after they pass away, when they're looking to find the new Dalai Lama, the test they give them is they bring them into a room which has a lot of the things that belong to the person before them, pictures or items, hairbrush, whatever. And they would ask them specific questions written by the last Dalai Lama when they were alive that only they would know. And it's amazing how the new Dalai Lama always knows the answers. Why? The Dalai Lama maintains that memory across lifetimes. There is such a thing as past life memories. Now, you don't have to believe that. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. We don't need to swallow the entire myth to explain one little bit of evidence. And so I think that if you look at the evidence of past life memories, it is overwhelming. I had a buddy of mine I used to play D&D with. He was a natural drummer. And he said he had never taken any training, nothing, never even watched a YouTube video on drumming. And he could sit down and listen to a song and play it almost perfectly. It was incredible. I've known a few professional drummers, even a couple that were in really big bands you've heard of. When I ask them, they go, yeah, that's impressive. It's very difficult. And I think to me, his theory was I was a drummer in a past life. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. And so there is overwhelming evidence, if you tend to look for it, that we do carry memories across lifetimes, which of course supports the reincarnation theory. And I'm going to give you at the end kind of my idea to tie this all together. But we got a little more cool stuff to cover. I just want to call out, if you're enjoying this video, if you like it, if you want to see more like this, please take a moment, click like, click subscribe. I know every YouTuber does this. I know it's a little annoying, but this is really important to people like me. It's the only way YouTube knows that you like the video and you want to see more. That helps you because you'll be shown more videos like this. It also helps me because then YouTube will send more people to this video. So do that. That would be frickin' awesome. I love you for it. Also, please add your thoughts in the comments. This is big stuff, people. I will do my very best to personally answer every single comment. Every single one. We could get into some awesome discussions. And if you want to go really deep into this, to really understand everything you need to know, to find your own conclusions, to answer your way these life's biggest questions, check out in the description. I have what I think is one of my most powerful and important programs called 30 Days to Awakening. I'm running a special right now for everyone on YouTube, going to give you a big discount. It's a guided step-by-step tutorial to bring you to complete spiritual awakening within 30 days. And half of it is lectures and presentations to listen to with the conscious mind. Half of it is encoded block clearings to clear the subconscious blocks holding you back from higher consciousness. So if you're interested, check it out. Absolutely life-changing. Of course, it has a money-back guarantee, but I don't think I've ever had anyone ask for their money back on this one. It really is that good. So let's get back into our discussion of one life versus reincarnation. I'm going to try to give you right now towards the end my best understanding of how it works. First, just know, once you're fully awake, this is much easier. That's why. Check out 30 Days to Awakening. You'll be glad you did. Or don't. Stay asleep. Totally up to you. But when you're fully awake, this becomes very obvious. Easy. You almost wonder why people couldn't see it. Why? Well, they didn't have the right perspective. So here it is. That ultimately we are all one. The awareness within you is the non-dual. That is God. That is the divine. That awareness inside of you, that you in your head, that's watching this video, that's hearing me talk, right? That's drinking your coffee or writing a note with your pen. That you, there's only one of that. Across all humans, all planets, all space and time, all dimensions, we all share the same awareness within us. That's why Jesus said that I and the Father are one. That's why it says man is made in the image of God. It doesn't mean that God has 2 arms and 2 legs and a head. No, it means in the image, meaning the awareness. So there's only one of us. So whether or not the divisions of that one, the souls, the humans, and all that, live one life or many is irrelevant. We're all one. Everything is you. Okay, that's your big picture answer. In the small picture, there is a mind, there is a body, there is a soul. What you'll find is you don't have to accept reincarnation or any theology to understand metaphysics, to be a great healer, to create vast wealth with the law of attraction. No, you don't need any of that. Of course you don't. What you do need to recognize is that there is some mechanism within us by which we retain memories and impressions and emotions of other times and places, even when we're not genetically connected. So as an example, I remember back, it must have been the late 90s, early 2000s, I watched a special on the History Channel about the 300 Spartans. And this was years before the movie came out. And I remember sitting there crying like a baby, bawling my eyes out. And it made no sense. I'm like, why am I crying hearing this story of a bunch of Spartan dudes that fought a battle, over 2,000 years ago? Why do I care? Well, I learned later, I was there, past life connection. Now, you don't have to believe it was the same you. That all depends on how you define you, hence the need for awakening. But we just want to recognize there's some mechanism there. Maybe it's not reincarnation, maybe it's something else. But there is some way that we are influenced by things in other times and places. We carry these memories and impressions inside of us. That's all you really need to know. We're all one. And on the relative level, there's some mechanism by which we retain memories and experiences, past lifetimes or through incarnations, however you think about that. That's the most important truths. As always with this series, go have your own experience. Don't believe any of this just because I said so. Take it as an opportunity to think differently. And I have great confidence. If you look for it, you'll find powerful validating evidence for every single point made here in the video. As always, have your own experience, see how this resonates for you. So that's all I got to say for now. This is Brent Michael Phillips signing off. Stay tuned for the next video in this series, number 7, which is going to be all about heaven and hell. Where do these ideas come from? Are they real? Are they physical? Are they metaphorical? What do you really need to know? And so until then, please take care and namaste.